Okay, we're rolling.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing well. We are knee deep in content right now in the How to Podcast series. We're doing a daily episode every day in the year 2026. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of content coming your way, and I don't anticipate that everyone's going to listen to every episode and stay in time with the next episode. There's a lot coming out. So I'm trying to make sure that the titles of the episodes are nice and crystal clear. Sort through, pick the ones you want, pick the things that are sticking out for you in the moment. Again, I don't anticipate you're going to listen to every episode, but the idea behind this 365-day challenge that I've given myself, nobody's giving me this challenge, I've given it to myself, is just the idea that I want to be in a creative space. As a podcaster, I want to be in a space where I've given myself an expectation, maybe to some people would say an unrealistic expectation, but I've given myself this expectation because I find that when I'm in a creative space, creativity seems to find me easier. Like I just feel like it's like a snowball effect where it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill, all this content and all these ideas. It's opening the doors to a lot of interesting things for me as a creator. Now, do I expect you to do a daily episode for an entire year? No, not at all. But for me, it's a challenge I've given myself in 2026 to just show up, right? So this is like the anti-seasonal approach to podcasting. 2026 is my season. Daily episodes. We just came off my 24 hours marathon where I did 24 episodes in 24 hours. That's a bonus on top of doing daily episodes, by the way. And that challenge, it's very interesting. Learned a lot through all of that. But I think the big takeaway for me is just, as creative people, anytime we take a break from being creative, it takes a little bit more time to get back into the swing of things and get back into that mindset, that headspace, and those creative juices start flowing again. It's just like a cold engine in the winter trying to start your car, just that as you kind of start. I feel as creators, when we take a break from content for any period of time, it just takes a little bit to get back into it. So if I live in a creative space every day, 365 days in a row, I'm curious to see where I'm going to end up on December 31st of 2026, going into 2027. And I'm anticipating I'm going to be a much different Dave by the end of the year. So that's kind of, again, why I'm doing it. It's self-inflicted. I get it. And I'm not telling everyone to do this. But I am encouraging you to put yourself into an uncomfortable, thoughtful place as a creator. Because if you're getting a little stale, like you're not being as creative as you once were, then put yourself into a spot where you need to be creative, whatever that is for you. Could be just November, for example. This year will be the National Podcast Post Month, #NaPodPomo, where we as podcasters do a daily episode in the month of November. So the thing is, you could record those episodes right now and date them for the future. So when you have time, you're all set up, then why not record a 5-minute episode now in little chunks here and there leading up to November? And by the time you get to November, you're going to have a daily episode for the month of November, and you can participate in National Podcast Post Month. Just start now. You don't need to wait. Your hosting site will allow you to post episodes into the future. So you could record November 12th episode right now, and we're nowhere close to being in November. So just consider it. Little bite-sized pieces, put yourself out into the world, make it a little uncomfortable for yourself, and I think that's where we grow. When we go from something we do easily and well with not much thought to something where we have to be more thoughtful and prepared, in that space is where we grow. So that's my challenge for you. A couple things, this is a short one today, a couple things about YouTube that I think as podcasters we need to consider, and a reason again for having our podcast on YouTube. I got a couple things that I think could really help you in your podcast in an audio way as well. And all you need to do is simply connect your podcast to YouTube. So every time a new episode goes live, it automatically sends a version to YouTube. I know it's audio only. I get it. People get all upset that you have to have video on YouTube. But hear me out. There's at least two different things I want to talk about here in this short episode. I'm, again, trying to sell you on the idea that YouTube and podcast connection is a good idea for your show. Here we go. So I came across this post in a Facebook group for podcasters. I go there sometimes, not all the time. You see a lot of the same questions, which is fine. But this one was interesting. A podcaster was shutting down their podcast after years and years of creating content. And they said, well, what do I do now that I'm going to close down my show? Do I go to a cheaper plan with my podcasting host? What happens if I go to a cheaper plan? I don't anticipate making any new episodes, but I don't want my podcast to disappear from all the apps. What are my options? It's a great question. So just to kind of answer that question, in case you're dealing with this as a podcaster, you could download your podcast episodes from your hosting site. There's an option to do that. Most hosting sites will let you do that if you don't already have a copy of your episodes. So that'd be one thing to consider, to have the final copies of all your episodes and then put them somewhere. That's one start. Another thing is some of these plans that you can downgrade to. For example, on some hosting sites, they'll host your podcast for 90 days and then they start deleting episodes, right? Because you're not paying anymore. Or they just flat outright delete everything the moment your credit card doesn't clear. So they don't owe you anything, even though you've been paying them for years. They don't owe you anything. So a couple of suggestions. First, you could take your podcast, redirect your RSS feed, your really simple syndication feed. That's what feeds Apple and Spotify and all those things. You could redirect it over to Spotify for creators, for example, which is free, and it would just stay there. So you don't have to physically move your files one at a time from your host. Like episode 1, I got to move it from this host over to Spotify. Episode 2, I got to move it over to Spotify. No, that's not how this works. You just redirect your RSS feed to Spotify, one click, couple clicks, and you're done. Now, if that's overwhelming for you and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying right now, Dave, then you and I could do a Zoom screen share. I can show you exactly where to click, how to do it. And it's really not that hard when you have somebody there with you. So happy to help you with that. That's one way to back up your podcast. Move it to a free host. There you go. You're not going to podcast anymore. The show's not happening. You still have the option. If you ever decided to come back, you could upload a new episode. Your hosting sites move from host A over to Spotify for creators. That's one way to do that. So consider that option. As well, you could host your own podcast episodes on your own website. If you have the tech skills to do that, that's another option. Another one, though, is to connect your podcast, if you haven't done so already, before you move from your hosting site. Do this step. Go through, and again, I can help you with this on a Zoom screen share. We can do this together. Connect your podcast to YouTube as an audio podcast. And I know, again, I say it over and over again. Everybody says it's a bad idea. But in this situation, when you're going to close your show down and stop paying for hosting, before you do that, pay one more month and do this step. Connect your podcast through your RSS feed to YouTube. And what happens is YouTube pulls in every episode, one time, just wham, everything. You could have 4 or 5 years of your podcast, whatever, all in one shot goes right to YouTube. And that becomes your backup. Now, is it fail-safe? Well, no, you don't own YouTube. None of us own YouTube, so YouTube can do whatever YouTube does. But for now, it's a great way to archive your podcast and just have a copy of it. It doesn't matter if anybody ever listens to it or watches it there. You have a backup copy. I do that for all of my shows. Every one of my podcasts are automatically connected to YouTube. So when an episode goes live on Apple, it goes right to YouTube. If an Apple podcast goes live on Spotify or Audible, it goes right to YouTube. It's a backup drive. This backup drive is public facing, though. The whole world has access to my backup drive, and anyone anywhere who's on YouTube can see my podcast. You could make that podcast private on YouTube if you don't want anybody to see it, but I leave it open. I leave the door open. If you want to come in and listen to my audio podcast on YouTube instead of watching it through my RSS feed, great. And on my Living the Next Chapter podcast, I've got over 2,500 watch hours for an audio podcast. I'm breaking all of the rules from all the gurus by doing this, and it's working. So when somebody tells me that it's a bad idea, I just show them the proof. It works, and my audience is finding it, and they're engaging, they're listening longer, the content's getting better, it's easy to search, it's easy to find. If I'm looking for a certain episode from my back catalog, I go to my YouTube channel. I go to the search bar and I type in, mental health or empty nest, and boom, there's all my episodes. So it's really, really powerful. So keep that in mind. So if you're thinking about closing down your podcast, we're going to miss you, first of all. That's the biggest thing. But I realize that things happen. Maybe you're going to go start a different podcast and your content's done. That's fine. Before you exit, make sure you back up your stuff. I love the idea of having it on YouTube just because it's public facing. Like I said, you can move from a paid hosting site like Buzzsprout, Libsyn, Captivate, all those places, and you can't afford it anymore. Things have changed. You have to cut back. I get it. Moving over to Spotify is free, so that's one option for you. If you're not sure and you're like, I don't want to make a mistake, and again, reach out to me, howtopodcast.ca. We can talk about it. Love to help you anytime. There's another part of having your podcast connected to YouTube that I think gives you vision to your content in a different context. And I think it's something that you need to think about. So when I do this, I've connected my show, all my shows, my 9 different podcasts are all connected to YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel for each show. What I noticed is YouTube will give me great analytics. It's amazing what YouTube will show you, to the point where I can learn about my content from the lens of YouTube. I find that my YouTube audience is different. They have a different makeup than my audio podcast audience, because I can see my stats for audio and I can see my stats for YouTube, even if it's not a video version, right? So I can go in and look at my analytics, and I can see things when I go to my YouTube studio, and then I see dashboard in the menu side on the left-hand side of this page. I see dashboard, content, analytics, community, languages, blah, 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 blah. When I go to analytics and I click on that, I get a good vision of my channel at this moment. And I can see like my total views, my total watch hours. It gives me an idea if I'm doing better or worse, my total subscriber count, all of that kind of stuff at a glance. But then there's like across the top there, when I'm on the analytics button, I can see overview, content, audience, and trends. This is where you're going to get information about your show that you're not going to see because it's a different audience than your Buzzsprout or your Spotify for Creators or your Captivate, or whatever. You're going to see different stuff here because this is a different audience. And so what I like to do when I'm on this analytics tab from the left-hand menu, I like to go to my content, and I like to pull from the drop-down menu on the far right. It gives me a date range. So right now it's defaulting to the last 28 days. I like to flip it down to lifetime. You have last 7 days, 28, 90, 365. And then I have all the years, but I just go lifetime. This is the whole lifetime of my channel. I just want a big overview. Jump in a plane and see things from a higher level. Okay. So when I'm in there and I click on content, I can see all videos, shorts, posts, playlists, podcasts, all that stuff. And what I want to see is I want to see my videos, and I want to see what are my top videos for my channel. As I scroll down, I can see this. And right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5. 5 episodes that are in my top 5, which is great. And what I do then is I take these episodes that are showing on YouTube as my top 5, and I go over to my hosting site for Living the Next Chapter, that would be Buzzsprout, and I simply go into my account on Buzzsprout, and I go to those episodes. So again, I can just take the title from YouTube, because my titles are the same on YouTube as they are on Buzzsprout. And I can say, like, okay, for one example is Jim Burns is one of my episodes. So I go over to all episodes on my Living the Next Chapter on Buzzsprout. I just type in Jim Burns and hit enter, and there it is. So that episode is episode 85. It came out February 1st, 2020. This came out, let me click on it here. This one came out on October 20th, 2022. Okay, this is a long time ago. What I do is I go into the episode date, because on YouTube, this is telling me this is number 2 in my top 5. And I just go into the episode date function for me on Buzzsprout. It's on my right-hand side at the top of the page. I can edit the episode, but I can also edit the date of the episode. So right now, I currently have updated this date already, but I'm going to update it to today. So I go in, I click on the calendar, I hit the today button, and what I do is I go back one day in the past. So not today, not tomorrow, because if I do tomorrow, it'll show as a new release. It'll flag it and send it out again. But I go to yesterday. So I just pick the day before, and I just hit the publish button. So now, that episode from 2022, episode 85, is now bumped up the list into what is current episodes. As a new listener to my show would come in and go, well, this is an interesting episode. So it's right up there with my episode 669 and 668, 667. There's 85, which looks completely out of place. Now, there's no harm in doing this from a listener perspective, because they've already heard the episode. For them, it's marked as played on their app, most likely. So they won't even know, because it's already not showing in their list of unlistened episode, because they've already heard it. It's checkmarked. So I'm not harming my current audience, but I'm bringing one of what YouTube has identified as my top 5. I'm bringing that up into the list of the most recent episodes so that it's not buried back in October 2022. I want this up in 2026, where we are right now. And I just leave it there for a little while. I'm bringing new life to what YouTube is telling me is a great episode from my listener and my viewer stats on YouTube. And that's it. I just bring it up for a while, a few weeks, a month. And then because I put the date in the episode description, I just put it at the bottom. If you go to episode 85 for Living the Next Chapter, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. At the bottom, I just have the original published date. So anytime I want to, any episode I bring from the past into the present, I can put back into the past. Numerically, it'll go back in order where it came from, so I don't have to do any math. It's right there. And I can play with these episodes. And I'm doing this right now. Right now, I've got like 5 or 6 episodes from the past. Old episode numbers, old content, but great content. And I'm just bringing it up to the top. Another example for Living the Next Chapter is episode 237. I had Stuart Lee on from the UK. And he came on to talk about his journey through addiction and his battle to break free and live a healthy lifestyle coming from alcoholism. That episode had a couple hundred downloads. It was a great episode, but it's old. It's episode 237. I'm currently at episode 669 at the time of recording. So nobody was listening to that episode anymore. My retention rate, my listens for that episode, gone. So by bringing it up to the current space where people are coming into my show today as a new listener, not hearing that episode, probably not even drawn to go back into my back catalog, I brought it up to the top of the list with yesterday's date. Not today or tomorrow, yesterday's date. Brings it up into the most current episode numbers, right next to all the current shows. And that episode's gone from like 200 listens to over 2,000 listens. People are connecting with it, and it's opening my audience to that audience, that guest, that content that had been quietly just passed over from the past. Bring it up, let people connect with it again. It's great content. It's something that's meaningful, and it's something worth sharing again. And then when I'm done, I just put it back to the original published date, go back into Buzzsprout, click on edit the date, and put it back to where it came from. Again, because it's in the show notes. I can see the original published date. So that's another example of why being on YouTube gives you vision into your audience that you're not going to get on your regular hosting site. My regular hosting site tells me what episodes are doing great, and then YouTube tells me a different story. So by simply bringing these episodes that YouTube is giving me great indications, these are great content, by using the knowledge from YouTube, which is very detailed, I can then go back to my audio podcast and bump up these episodes to give me a better chance at people falling in love with these episodes from the past. So it's a very good idea to connect your podcast to YouTube for the sake of getting better analytics, for the sake of having a way to save your back catalog before you move or delete your show or end your podcast. Before you make any of those changes, please reach out to me. Let's have a screen share through Zoom. We'll have a virtual coffee together, and I'll answer all your questions. I'll show you and demonstrate for you exactly what I'm saying in an audio podcast and help you do what's right for you and your show. Happy to help you anytime. There's a lot of great details. Simply by having your show on YouTube, you're going to learn a lot about your audience, and you will extend your audience. I really don't think that the same audience who listens to my show on Apple or Audible or Spotify is the exact same audience that's on YouTube. So that goes back to one last thing as we leave. Simply taking your content, if you have a YouTube strategy, and just reposting it on YouTube. As is. The way I recorded in audio, I just release it in video and hope for the best. If you want to succeed in YouTube, you need to do things in YouTube's way. YouTube has created a way that they like content. I'm not doing it the way YouTube wants. I'm not. It's still having success, but I'm not doing it the way YouTube wanted. And if I did it the way YouTube wanted, I'd probably grow a lot faster. But I don't have time to be a YouTuber on top of being a podcaster and do it well. So I'm using YouTube as a resource. I'm using YouTube as a service without using YouTube the way it was intended. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat for saying this, but for me, I'd much rather have this as a resource than to ignore it completely. You will not gain anything by not being on YouTube. So even if you join YouTube and you just use it as a backup drive, at least you have it. And by having that, people can find you, people can connect with you, and it could lead to some great things in the future. So, big thing. If you're going to close your show, make sure you back it up. Before you close your show, back it up. And before you say that YouTube doesn't mean anything for me because I'm an audio podcaster, I have proof. There's ways that you can grow and use YouTube in a great way. So before you dismiss it, let's have coffee together and chat. Thanks for being here. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the entirety of the episode, including this part. You know what? A lot of people leave right now. So we'll let them leave. Give them a second to go. Okay, now it's just you and me. We have our meetups that we do for the How to Podcast series. We do them during the week, and we also do them on Saturdays. So twice a week, you have the opportunity to meet other podcasters, just like you. Some people have just started. Some people haven't even released an episode yet. Some have been doing it forever. And we get together and talk podcasting. We want to help you in community to continue with your show, to start your show, to grow your show. So come and meet listeners of this show in one space on meetup.com. Again, through howtopodcast.ca, you'll see the links. It's completely free to join. come whenever you have an opportunity to come. There's no commitment. You don't have to sign any waivers. You can just come join us. Come join the conversation. We'd love to have you there, because the only thing that's going to make these meetups better is you being there. So I'm hoping you will say yes. And you'll say, Dave, I'm tired of podcasting by myself. I wish there were people I could connect with that are fellow podcasters and share my frustrations with guests who ghost me, and my editing software is crapping out on me, and I'm just having this hard time. I'm just having a hard time coming up with podcasts, episodes and titles and all the things, and social media. Wouldn't it be great to get in a room with other podcasters and share best practices and learn? 3 of our 4 Saturdays every month are themed. So you have a topic, but that last Saturday of every month is open question and answer. Ask anything. Come meet a podcaster. Come enjoy the podcasting community through howtopodcast.ca. Come to our meetups. Can't wait to see you there. You're still here? Great. Awesome. This is a bonus stuff for the end of the episode for people who stick around to the end. So you've unlocked the secret code. So welcome. Good job. The question came in for me was around the idea of naming your show. And how do I have an effective name for my show? Here's a little test you can do when you're thinking about creating a podcast name, is go to somebody who doesn't know your topic, maybe doesn't know podcasting, right? Just somebody who doesn't already have a predetermined idea of what you're working on, and tell them the name of your podcast. Just like an author would say the name of their book, a singer band would tell you the name of their song or album. Name your podcast. And so just tell them what you're thinking about calling your show. So I've used this example before. Chase Your Dreams as the name of a podcast. So what does that spark for you when you hear that? Chase Your Dreams podcast. I can tell you it's not what you're thinking about. With your first initial response, I can tell you it's not that. You're like, well, how do you know what I'm thinking? Because I've tried this with people many, many times. Chase Your Dream podcast. Is it a podcast about dreams? Is it a podcast about career, business, entrepreneurship? Is it a podcast about your mindset? Like, what is this podcast? All you hear is Chase Your Dreams podcast. Well, the idea was it was supposed to be a podcast to help you fall asleep. See what I mean? Not really what you were thinking, was it? It's a podcast to help you fall asleep. So you press play, you shut off all the lights in your room, and you listen to it as it gently lulls you to sleep. And it's a sleep podcast. So when you tell somebody the name of your show, what you want is, without having to prompt them, without having to give them the 30-minute breakdown of the concept and the core components and how it's going to work. No, just the name of the show and get their initial reaction. If people are saying what you're expecting them to say, then good name. If somebody's telling you something completely different, then you might want to rework the name. Or, like a book has a subtitle, it could be Chasing Your Dreams, How to Survive in a World Where People Have Lost Their Dreams. Something like that, right? It gives you a little more context to the title. So we do that in podcasting as well. And you can play with that extension. Call it a title extension, subtitle in books. Same thing. You can give more clarity to what you're thinking. So if Chasing Your Dreams is a podcast about entrepreneurship, then have that in the subtitle. Chasing Your Dreams, the Entrepreneur's Guide to blah, blah, blah. Chasing Your Dreams, the sleep podcast to help you fall asleep faster. All those are words that people would be searching. People might not necessarily know to type Chasing Your Dreams into a search app, but they would type in a sleep podcast, so make sure that's in the title somewhere if you want to be found. And if you need help naming your show, you've got ideas and you're still wrestling with this, or you want to rebrand your show, or you want to start a new show, reach out to me. I love having conversations with podcasters. Let's see what we can come up with together. I love generating ideas together in a collaborative way. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to work with you and help you discover what you want to do. And it's all about your show. Remember, there's no rules. All you need is a good podcast buddy. And if you're looking for a community, come check out our meetups as well. Thanks for being here. Take care.